for some reason, a lot of like failed musicians become like successful business people.
Obviously coaching, before it sounds like a scammy thing, you know what I mean? Like the FTC is having a lot of issues with coaching business and so forth. So there's this like negative stigma for coaching, but at the same time, we all need, a lot of people are not going to school as much anymore. There's just the traditional ways of learning, I think, are getting disrupted. So I do believe I'm in the same mindset as you. Like sometimes you just need, somebody who's a couple of steps ahead to show you a couple of steps and so forth. Other times, I'm a self-learner, you know what I mean? So for me, I feel like I can go on YouTube and I type something out and I'm like, just going to read. So it's amazing. The world is amazing. You can learn we have more information on our phone than like the US government had in 1980.
100%. And like so if you're self-driven and also resourceful to to piece the things together, then great. But what's interesting is that was how I would describe myself as that before I had kids. And like after getting like just smashed down, like with the sleep deprivation and all the stuff. Like even just past September, just our whole family getting COVID. One thing that I've always been big on coaching. I've always invested a lot in coaching. I had a post-secondary education, like 2 years of college, but that was really just kind of like, I don't know, that was just to appease my parents. Like they really supported me with music all the time, but they're just like, maybe you might want to go to college just for a couple of years. And it's ironic because a lot of the things that I learned in college in multimedia design is like stuff that I'm using now in my own business as a solopreneur.
Oh, really?
But it's very cool how things come around, right? But the interesting part is so I believe in coaching for sure, but the interesting part is when I really like needed it was when my brain power, whether it was just being super tired or whether it was just like not being able to piece things together or like stressed or overwhelmed, I'm like, I just need someone to just tell me what to do. Like that's what I'm buying. Like I could search for something online, but if someone who's done it already, if they're like, okay, well, cool, just do this, this, and this, and see what you're doing there, just tweak it a little bit, and this would actually be good, like this, or definitely don't do that. That's what you're paying for, right? Like you're paying for the experience and just shortening that learning curve. And so for me, I'm a buyer. I'm like, a buyer's a buyer's a buyer. Like I'm that person. Yeah. Like you could probably sell me something by the end of this thing, and I'd probably buy like
a merchant account.
Yeah, if I see the value in it, like I'm all over that because again, it just shortens that time, right? I respect time, and so like and my own time, I don't want to waste it, right? So it's like that's where I invest in coaching. So as a coach, since I believe in it so much, I think that's part of like what makes me sell it so well.
So let me explain. Let me ask you this. I mean, obviously you buy coaching, you sell coaching and all this. How do you find, there's so many coaches, right? And we see the Lamborghinis and the hot chicks and the this and that and all this fun stuff. But like, how do you decipher who is a good coach? Like, how do you find somebody that's actually going to resonate with you and it's not like, let's call it bullshit. It's not.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely don't look at the Lamborghinis and all that. Like maybe when I was younger, I did. But no, what I look for is there's some level of authenticity. There's definitely an X factor there that you have to connect with the person. Like it has to be someone who is like, whoa, that person's just like me. Like that person, like my coaches right now, or anyone who even I've been coached by, I've been pretty good at selecting them because there's just something about what they said. Like, I don't know, my bullshit detector is pretty damn good. Like being in the music industry, like it has to be, right? And so, like, I mean, I've followed so many people, but what's ironic is a lot of the people that I followed, whether it's just a general thing that people like playing guitar or have like the idea of playing guitar, but like almost every single coach that I've had has either played guitar in the past, because for some reason, a lot of like failed musicians become like successful business people. But like, so some people like Frank Kern was kind of my first like guru that I've ever followed. And I love Frank. I mean, like I met him a few times. I've been in a bunch of his programs and super funny dude. I like him because he doesn't take himself too seriously. And like some of the stuff he says works and some of the stuff doesn't, but like sweet, I love it. And maybe I saw that he played guitar first, so I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like some of his examples were, oh, that makes sense. Okay, cool, I could apply that. And I just kind of buy into the world. And then until he proves me wrong, and like I like he does something that's totally against what I believe are his core values, which are also my core values, then that's when I would go to another coach. But usually I stick with all the people who I just vibe with. And usually for me, that's just like an extension of my personality. Great sense of humor, smart, and thinks about things like out of the box, but also a little rebellious. Those things I think because there's so many coaches, you have to decipher it as someone for you. It's not like who's going to be the one who's going to help everyone. Like I don't care about what this person's saying. It's so boring to hear me listen to this. Like I just can't sit through a presentation. Sure. So why would I invest $5,000 or 10,000 or whatever it might be into their mastermind when I don't even believe in what they're saying, or I can't even stand listening to them? So that's my criteria is, would this be someone like, can I spend a year with this person? Like, can I stand them? Do they inspire me? You know, do they entertain me? Because I also understand how hard the journey is going to be. And you need to have someone in your corner who's going to be able to propel you, but also almost like a buddy or a big brother or sister, you know, like it's so that's the criteria that I use.
Okay. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, you know, a lot of these programs are like 5,000 is probably on the lower end.
Lower,
you know,
for
like
sure.
You'll get more like the 10, 15, 20,000s now. And, you know, it's a daunting thing. Like I've invested in masterminds, you know, that were 30,000 and 40,000. I've even been in one that was 50,000, you know what I mean? And that's a lot of money. Cause like, you're like, you know, no matter how much money you're making, like you don't want to waste $50,000 on anything. But you know, at the end of the day, I have to say, obviously, in some masterminds, some went better than others for me. But I do agree with you. Is like you have to vibe with the person, and it's like when you're listening to somebody's content. At least for me, I'm listening to somebody's content in my head. If I'm like, that's bullshit. Totally. That's when I'm like, we're done. I'm not even going to continue, because if I have that one thought watching their recorded stuff, and the flashy stuff, and you know, like I don't need to show people my car or anything to make them believe me. I can rent the car, you know, I can get into an Airbnb and rent the car for a day and shoot a video and kind of sell it. So
and they do, you know,
buyer beware, of course, and you know, speaking with somebody, maybe even a 15-minute call, or you know, like watching a lot of their free content, because most coaches have a lot of free content, you know, available. So making sure so that's interesting. And it's interesting that obviously your attracts like, so musicians are coming to you and back and forth. Now, obviously you have a lot of, you know, you're very, very creative, and you're doing, like, you're the opposite of me. It's funny. I'm like the anti-creative person. I am the numbers financial person. So I always find it very funny when I talk to somebody who's literally the antithesis of me. Because like when people say like, I like to write, and I'm like, no, I can't, you know, like I'll just look at a spreadsheet. I'm good.
Totally.
But you know, in your business, you have obviously different staff. And we were touching on this before when we were talking earlier. And this is a question that I get a lot, is like, and this is a challenge that I have in my business, and a lot of people have in their business, is, you know, hiring staff. And when you're a small scale business, I feel like it's harder than when you're, you know, you have that hundreds of people and people come on board. When you're your first kind of ghost 5, 6, 7 people staff that you need, that's, I feel, when it's the hardest time. Like it's just very difficult, because they're draining your time, they're draining your energy. So you mentioned that you have some VAs in the Philippines. So tell me a little bit about the people that work for you and your experience in general with, for sure, in the Philippines.
Even how I got to that point, because one thing when you're starting a business, right? Very often an entrepreneur will feel like doing everything themselves. And at first you have to, right? Like at first you have to, but then it gets to a point where you probably shouldn't. Like there's this breaking point where you probably shouldn't be doing that, because that's maybe $10 an hour work. And you really need to be focusing on like the high leverage stuff, the high impact stuff. And so it's funny, because in 2018, my daughter was born. So our first child was born, Milana. And so like I worked in my basement. That was already an issue, like working at home, and all my friends who were fathers, they're like, what are you doing working at home? Are you crazy? And it's like, oh man, I know, but you know, I can't really afford getting an office or blah, blah, blah. And so, because that's also tied to this, right? It's like you kind of, at some point you have to just kind of bet on yourself. And so what I did here, which is actually amazing. There are some places where you can actually, you can have like 4 days a month or 5 days a month in an office. So maybe like 1 day a week, go to an office. As soon as I experienced it for the first time, like, oh wow, no crying babies or anything like that. You know, and like being in a place that's your own is like, this is incredible. So anyway, then I got a great deal on an office. And anyway, so I do that. But then I realized like, okay, well, I can't, there are all these other tasks that I shouldn't be doing, right? And so maybe let me start looking at like, instead of like how I can do something, let's say who can help me do something, right? It's like a big thing, big shift, right?
Hope you found today's session valuable. If you have any questions for me or just want to connect, please feel free to visit my website, mariasparagis.com. That's MariaSparagis.com. I'd love to hear what you're working on, so drop me a line on any hot button issues your business is experiencing. And remember, don't worry about failure. You only have to be right once.